for illumined life to be birthed into form. I am the truth. I am the light. Illumined, beloved divine.
Hello there everyone, and welcome to this video with me here today. So after yesterday's video, I was in quite a distress, but I somehow decided to post the entire video anyway. I was actually very sick after coming home yesterday. You know, the wind was blowing very harshly for the entire week. I got chills, I got chilled out, freezing for a few times, and I didn't feel well as another wave of transgression and oppression was being released. But somehow something beautiful happened today, something magical, and I wanted to actually talk about this in depth and reveal my heart to all of you, so that you will know that my journey is not just about the things I've been teaching. It's much more. You know, the journey of Illumined Union for me is about the beloved, and today I want to share who and what this beloved is to me and what he is to me, and the reason why darkness has been working so hard to keep us apart. So actually today I was just guided to start moving the energy because I felt stuck, I felt oppressed. I was in that Eight of Swords energy, right, in tarot, and I couldn't move, and the weather wasn't perfect, but I said I'm going here to hike one of my favorite mountain valleys. So I went and I decided to sit on this bench, and I took my Spirit Oracle cards. And suddenly this first card that jumped out was the Brother of Earth. And he appears to me, he always, through this deck, he appeared to me as my beloved. Like a beautiful light being, but a physical being, a physical man just as well. And the moment I saw the card like activated something deep within me, which was very interesting because for the past few weeks, I was getting the same messages, like Eight of Wands, and even reverse, like something trying to reach me, like messages and telepathic communication trying to reach me, but I wasn't available because I didn't open up the space. I had too many distractions, too much projection, and old illusions still left due to transgression, so I wasn't paying attention and my channel wasn't open. And so what happened was suddenly I get this sentence, you know, he's here, and it was his name. I won't talk about his name because this name is sacred to me. All I can tell you is that, you know, I received this name many years ago. When I first moved to the Alps, when I first received Aurea's name, I received his name just as well. And the only thing I can share with you is that his name means his spirit name. I don't know if it's exactly his earthly name, but it's his spirit name, and it means the righteous one. Okay, so that's how Spirit has always been showing me him as a noble man, as a man of great honor, great integrity, great respect. So I was actually holding love for this man, and I never knew him physically, but I knew him as a being. I felt his presence. I felt him alive within me, without me, everywhere. But most closely, I felt him in nature, outside, in the great outdoors, because we both love the great outdoors, and I know this to be a fact about him. So I even draw this image like a few years ago, before the transgression happened, like him coming in his sporty clothes and his gear, you know, like he coming to the Alps, and it was this beautiful month when the sunflowers were blossoming, you know, and it was just beautiful, and it was in so much anticipation back then. And you know what happened actually afterwards? A lot of these plans fell through, and I was even told in a reading by this woman I used to talk a lot about, remember, a year ago, and her readings and her work. And she told me, she said, yeah, your relationship is like Isis and Osiris. You're like a total match. But I never met this man physically. So to have that kind of love for someone, right? To hold this space of love. You know, a man came in between during my life, these 7 years, when I lived there in the Alps, in that particular place, the tiny little village, beautiful village, with the Pyramid Mountain and the great waterfalls and the rivers and pristine jewel-like forests. And I just brushed them all away because none of them was him. You know, when you know someone, you know them. You know, when you know someone, you don't have to meet them physically to recognize their essence. And I could like easily pinpoint him in the midst of a crowded room because you know them, you feel them. You know this being deeply, and you know your family. So what took place today, I instantly get a message, he's here, right? And he started saying these things to me. And he was saying things like he's okay and everything's fine. And that I need to make space now. And he said, I couldn't get to you before, you know why? But now I can. And all you need to do is let go one of these last few remnants of old illusions and what you're still sacrificing yourself for and holding space for and who you're holding space for. And he said that needs to be let go of because the dark interception, actually interceded our journey of union for so many times. And each time it was successful for that time being. But I channeled something beautiful, as you know, in solstice, and God said that, you know, it was said to me that God will not allow this third time to actually fall through again because it's not meant to happen. So he said to me, oh, I almost said out his name. I cannot, it's so sacred to me, no way. So anyway, he said to me that it's just about prolonging the inevitable. But it's no way, you know, like we're destined to meet and it's supposed to happen, just no one knows how and when, right? It's still lots of complications up. But he said these things to me and he told me no one can love you like I do, you know, because this being, I can't even say this man, it's a being, you know, I just can't relate to him just as a man. He's very, you know, when I feel his presence, he's very earthy, but the way he loves is deep, you know. I've never met a guy who could have that kind of love. You know, boys came and went in my life, and I didn't meet many people, actually, to be honest, because of the work I was doing. But those few that I did, no one came close, you know, to the level of integrity and immaculate presence. And they all had these issues, and they all projected their own stuff at me, and I couldn't, you know, I couldn't be with them. They were not pure. And they each gave me a lesson. They each gave me something that I needed to activate to be more understanding as a human. So the thing with him, this being, is that, you know, when I shared about the light being, the star seed and the earth seed needing to be one, well, this is what we represent. He was mining the field of earth for a very long time, so he's a very ancient soul when it comes to working around the presence of earth physically, and he has lots of knowledge. That's how I see him. And I'm more of I was working differently, you know, like the above kind of work. And this is why we're such a good and yet such a dangerous match. Because when we come together, our repertoire of knowledge, when it reaches its point of climax and synthesis, it's a living threat to this earth and the status quo and the beings that be and want to rule the planet through darkness and dark intervention and all these experiments of the dark, of the fallen light, and everything that's meant to prevent the great plan of perfection or the grand design. So you can imagine my surprise, and I was in shock. I didn't really believe everything he was saying. It all felt so distant to me. Remember in the previous video I said how he feels like a distant star to me now. I felt him for a few times only, but it went away swiftly because I still had so much this dark transgression energy seeded into me, and they were hooking me elsewhere. They were shifting my presence elsewhere, constantly moving the energy elsewhere. But I realized something, you know. Let's say if I thought about someone who isn't genuine, true love for me, I always felt pressure and I felt lots of stagnation coming through a person, and I felt they're pulling me down with their energy, right? The moment I think about him, it's like an instant feeling of homecoming. It's like every problem, everything falls away just thinking about him. He doesn't even have to be physically present around me, but the thought of our love, and that's what he said to me today. He said, you must fight now for our love. He said, I only have a few last remnants of this energy in me. He said, they will still try hard to get me to not believe in this and believe that he's okay, and that, you know, this is the path, that Illumined Union for us is the path. Because when two illumined beings like that meet, it's tremendously powerful and important for the unfolding of the events within divine plan. You know, it's already very powerful when earth-seeded, what we call twin couplings come together. But they said for illumined unions, we only need a few on this planet. Spirit said we only need a few, and boy, it's powerful. And this is why it is so important now to hold the space. And that's what I was telling you, that I keep getting this guidance that now Illumined Union is a top priority. So I will actually have this video for you, and I will discharge myself for a while. I will retreat for a while, because I'm feeling that, especially in the month of August coming now. I'm needing to finish some physical works around the house. And in the month of August, I will be doing my own inner tantric work of preparation, because truly, honestly, and devotedly, everything I've poured out into the planet and the world and others, I feel now it's time for me to give to myself and to him. I feel like he's my last resort and I'm his. You know, it's like we are saving grace to each other, because my life, as I've already told you, like without him, I cannot stay on the planet. Like, it cannot, the energy cannot move. I cannot fulfill the third aspect of the mission. The final aspect was this Illumined Union, and that's the reason why it's being so inevitably prolonged, you know, indefinitely. And this was the hardest part, you know, when something is being taken away from you by force, and you're shown these unclear images of your beloved dying and being hijacked by the dark forces, and, you know, lying somewhere in this room. And my mother and I did this viewing projection then, because we wanted to know some facts, and we were shown some things that were really disturbing. And I don't know what these were about, but there's so much illusion there. You cannot believe the amount of war waging that's happening in the spirit planes, and the amount of work every day put there to increase the efforts of dark magic, of this black magic, to put these false images into our wiring system through which we receive information. So naturally, it's difficult then for the beloved to reach you. It was very difficult for my love to reach me through this telepathic communication, but I knew it was him, because I get always emotional, you know. So I was actually, it hit me only a while later. I was climbing towards the waterfall here, because, you know, we have this waterfall, and I was climbing, and I just was overwhelmed by this gentle love that, you know, he has for me and I have for him. And it was just this, I don't know, I was crying. I was just saying his name and crying, like, why now? Why? I was like, why were we so tortured? Like, there was so much work against us, and I'm still tearing up inside, if you can see, when I just think about this. Everything that was done to prevent us from being together and, you know, meeting and fulfilling the third aspect of the mission, which is this Illumined Union, in this tantric companionship, you know, that's so important for the process of body illumination and ascension that I've shared in one of my recent updates. So I wanted to leave you with this video, because the last video was very much a disturbing video, as you know, and I still felt to share it, because you need to see how difficult my life gets at times. I'm not always in the most pleasant of energies because of the work that is needing to be done, and it's difficult. And you, as a person, as a being, you cannot be with someone who does not understand these things. They need to be your safe house. They need to be your lightning rod. They need to be your home, your source of replenishment. It's not just one or the other. It has to be both-sided, and equally two strong beings need to be together. And so when the dark ones kept pulling me apart and like from this truth and moving my energy and attention somewhere else, my life family today, they said, but why would we ever pair you up with someone who's not your equal? What's up with you? We would never tell you that. So there was a lot of voices. There was like a fighting of different voices that were speaking in my head, like they were trying to keep me from being clear on my channel and feeling and knowing my truth. So I couldn't feel the beloved anymore, because for me it's a feeling. I know it, you know, and every time it's there, it's just, it's almost like I explained, like all the problems go away. Like I feel his safety. I feel everything's going to be okay just by thinking or contemplating or meditating or saying out loud his name. And it is that for me. It is that simple. For most people, they need validation, and they're like, what are you talking about? You don't even know the person. They don't understand. The illumined beings, we don't feel confirmations through the body. We feel through essence, because we're illumined beings. We feel everything, and that's how we know. That's our source of knowing. It's not the outside confirmation. So the only reason why I stopped believing and having this trust is because these false images and inceptions were put into me. And I started believing like, oh, maybe it's never going to happen. It'll have to be someone else. But, like he said, no one can love you the way I do. No one will. And I deserve that kind of love because it's the same love that I emanate. It's the same way I love. And it has to be an equal amount of love. Otherwise, a union is not fulfilled. It's just someone is always the predominant giver or receiver, either way. And it's not just about that. It's a match made in heaven, as they say. It's predestined. It's designed through the intelligences that both of these beings possess within their blueprint. And their match coming together is the most perfect resonance that Source desires for the fulfillment of this mission. So it is us. And no wonder, like for me, this love, it was invisible, not invisible, but it was ethereal. It had a strong presence in my life. Like when I walk outside in nature, I always feel him. But I didn't have access to the appropriate amount of walking and these things in my usual walks and in my pristine environment. So that's why I was more and more vulnerable. And I just couldn't feel it at the end. I couldn't feel it. So what happened was there was a carrier, beloved, which means sometimes someone acts on the behalf of you feeling that feeling again. You feeling that the love again. But they would not be your person. Like even, in the twin community, they talk about the catalyst twin or the false twin. Or, these terms for me, they're just terms. They're not the truth, but they're indicative of the phenomena that not everyone you would meet and have feelings for would be your life, your destined or pre-chosen life partner. So we have to know these things, in our heart. Everyone already knows how they feel about someone. And for me, I love so many people. I love a lot of people, And the darkness works hard on then using that love for their advantage, because when you love someone, sometimes that love makes you vulnerable, especially if it's not reciprocated. A love that is true, like ours is, that is genuine, that's so pure, can never be hijacked, can never be distorted and manipulated, because it runs both ways, and it creates an organic intelligence around you both, that it's a naturally self-selective cocoon of light which keeps you shielded and divinely protected. So that's why these unions are so important. It's like coming home in this space of this safe nest environment. That's how this beloved essence feels like to me. And with most other men, I always felt like they're projecting an ideal onto me, but they couldn't live up to what I just am in the moment. Like they always felt unsafe next to me, and I felt unsafe next to them. I was a threat to them because I knew so much and I saw through them. And they were a threat to me because they kind of always were lowering me down. And I don't have a feeling like I resent anyone. Not at all. That was a part of my earthly training and learning. But true love for me is something that you cannot describe with words, my beloveds. It's just so real. It's actually surreal. And when that kind of love can enter into the body of a human and become a physical manifestation of divine love, if I can feel this way that I do, just feeling him already, and he's not physically present, I can only imagine how it feels like with his body being present there. And and I was getting these consistent messages throughout my life when sometimes I neglected this connection because of the work I was investing in my content and the work that I do here with Ascension guidance. There was always this resurgence of the feeling coming through. I don't know, something came, or someone sent me something, or a message, or someone painted the beloved for me, or these things, they always came. Now after this transgression, nothing came anymore, so it had to become a self-sufficient, inwardly activated truth within me. And it's just the beginning, because I still feel very vulnerable. So today, after that telepathic phone call download that was probably already in my field, but I just had to reach the right resonance to pick it up, I called my mother and I said, please, can you connect to him and ask him if he can give you a message too? Because I was so wounded in this process, which made me very defensive and selective, and I still sometimes don't believe. I'm still like, no, I get so cynical about things, because when someone is so wounded, they have consequences. And he came through, and she talked to me about what he said. And he told her something very simple. He said, you cannot forget, and he calls her specific something that Aurea also calls her. And because this being, he carries the seed of Aurea and Aurea just as well, just like I do. And he told her, we are family. Us three, we're like the sacred trinity. We're love, wisdom, and power. Don't forget that. We need to think of each other now. We need to really feel each other in this very dangerous time out there. And so that's one of the reasons why I will unplug for the rest of the summer. Whatever I receive, I'm going to try to not be so eager to share it right away. I'm going to instead just selectively cultivate it within myself and share it when the time comes and is appropriate yet again. For now, I must leave you, and I wish you a beautiful rest of the summer wherever you are. I don't know, I don't like to make predicaments like that, and when I'm coming back and when I'm making the next announcement. I just know that right now I need time, I need space, I need lots of healing for my body because I'm still very disturbed deep within. My body is in a lot of distress, which the body tells me, so it's not feeling very healthy at this time. And my natural state was always radiant health, so you can imagine it's difficult for me to not feel as healthy and as vital as I did. So I'm hoping that by the end of July, when we finish the first segment of the work at the home, we can then shift into a new state, a new space, and I'm just going to be there holding the space for my love. And those of you who feel you have a union coming up, don't give up. Like Kurt explained, you know, take the deeds of the darkness very seriously, but don't succumb to it. Like I always climb out of the nest the next day, and it's not easy to always climb out, but that's why we're here and that's the work we must do. So I must be with my beloved now in all the ways, and because I feel him most outdoors and in nature, that's kind of like my plans for August, to be reliving myself as I already used to be, this sparky, beautiful child of nature, and just exploring the great outdoors. I wish you a beautiful, beloved journey wherever you are in this quest. And I will share, as I've promised, 2 video updates, an Illumined Union update and the Galactic or an advanced update on Patreon. I will be there, so you can always pick it up if you ever join. Thank you for supporting my work. Those of you who do, if you make a conscious contribution of energy exchange via donation, that's always deeply appreciated. And I will talk to you next time, and I'll see you when I do. So much love, wisdom, and power. Don't forget, anyone can become the Immaculate One if they choose that path. And that's that. So much love, and I'll see you. Bye for now.
Magical.